but there isn't any death, you see, in consciousness. You take your World of Warcraft character and you go back and, back to the graveyard and then run back to your whatever, and he's back in the fight again, right? So there is no real death of your character there. It's just data. It's just information. It appears to be like a death, and ours is the same way. So that's the logical answer. How do I know that's true? Because it works. Because it's early on in the logical flow of a theory that produces correct answers. That's the objective reason. Now there's the subjective reason. The subjective reason is that I've watched it. I've watched the process. I have over years, over decades, learned how to focus my intent and my awareness in various reality frames. I have been with people while they were dying, at the moment they died, went with them after they died, been through that process many, many times. I've worked on that, in that reality frame where the transitions are done. I've seen the process. I've been a part of the process. So from firsthand experience, now this is subjective experience entirely. So I don't expect anybody to believe any of that, because my subjective experience is just mine. Okay, it's just my experience. So from my subjective experiences, because I've been there, I've seen that, I've done that, I've witnessed it over and over again, and it makes sense. It's logical that it's that way. There's nothing about it that is irrational once you understand how reality works. It's perfectly reasonable. So you have these different reality frames. When you die, you go into a reality frame that's not the same as the dreaming. It's not the same as really the out of body. You go into this reality frame that was made especially for people who are just transitioning from this reality frame to another, because these people have special needs. They're very confused. They don't know what's going on, because when you're here, you're just here, physical, that's it. You're not aware of this other dimension to your being. So you die and suddenly you're someplace else. It's like going to sleep in your bed and waking up, in a foreign country, in a strange house. It's that kind of a thing. So you tend to be a little stressed and a little confused as to, where am I, what's going on, what do I do? So they have this reality frame that caters to that transition. And in that reality frame, you may be met by loved ones, you may have all these things going on, but again, that's all virtual. It seems real enough, but it's all virtual. This is part of a reality frame that helps you make this transition to a bigger picture. When the body dies, it really doesn't affect consciousness at all, because consciousness is not a part of the body. Consciousness is not generated by the body. Consciousness is independent of the body. So the body dying has really no effect on consciousness. And to get this idea, let's talk about a virtual reality game. Let's talk about The Sims or the World of Warcraft. And let's say you have an elf playing in the World of Warcraft. What happens? Now, and let's go further. The analogy there is you, the person with the computer monitor and the mouse or the joystick, the keyboard that is controlling that elf. You are the consciousness. Okay, you're the consciousness. The elf is the body, your avatar. Now, if you don't give it any input, if you don't tell it what to do or which way to look or whether to walk or sit down or stand still, it doesn't do anything. It just remains however it is and it stays there. It's becomes inanimate. So it only moves when your will moves it. When you touch a key or push a turn right button or something like that, then your character moves. Well, you're the consciousness. So now here's the question. What happens to you sitting at the keyboard when your elf dies? Nothing, right? Because You don't have anything to do with the elf's body, with that character. Well, it's the same way. So we say, well, what happens to consciousness when the body dies? Well, it's just like what happens to you sitting at the keyboard when your elf dies. Well, nothing happens to you at all. You're in two different reality frames, and the death of the elf is not pertinent to the death of the person at the keyboard that animates that elf, the death of the consciousness. So to begin with, even the question itself sort of comes with an assumption that somehow consciousness is attached to the body, that consciousness is a creation of the body, and that our brain produces consciousness. And now what happens when the brain dies? You see, now that's a problem we have. The brain's going to die, then the consciousness will die, and what happens? Does the consciousness resurrect itself someplace else or what? You see, it's not like that. You don't resurrect yourself, someplace else when your elf dies. You just, shake your head and say, uh-oh, monster got me, and you go regenerate your elf or go do another character or whatever it is you do in the game.